That's right, it's time. We're back with some BGG Hotness.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike.
I'm Nick.
We are the Brothers Murph, and yes, it's time for our monthly recap of everything going on BoardGameGeek. We have the hottest games everyone's been talking about, clicking on. We have some BoardGameGeek news, a couple things that we have enjoyed on BoardGameGeek itself. It's time to celebrate the geek as always.
Let's get into the news.
So every year, right around this time, we have the Golden Geek Awards. We've had people nominate things. The nominations are now out, and it's up to you to vote on your favorite games of the year, your favorite board game podcast, and more. Do go vote right now, because as of the release of this video, there's only about a day and a half left to go vote. Go make your voice heard on which games you think from the last year really shone more than the rest, and we'll see what comes out on the other side.
Bit of Board Game Geek news that if you don't know, Jamey from Foster the Meeple does a solo series here on the Board Game Geek channel and YouTube channel called Solo Mode. Jamey will play through a whole bunch of different solo games. She does a really, really good job. She has really great production, and she's a very fun personality. She's one of our best friends. We love her to absolute death. But if you didn't know, she does those videos once a month here. She always picks absolute bangers, and she's just really fun to hang out with. And so make sure to check out Jamey's Solo Mode if you haven't already, and especially if you like solo gaming. She's playing some good ones out there.
All right, so that's a little bit of Board Game Geek news for you. Let's go ahead and head back over to our chairs here and talk about the hottest games. These are the games that everyone's been clicking on, talking about right here on Board Game Geek. Now, every month, certain games are kind of capturing the attention of everybody. And this goes into the list called the Hotness, right? So these are going to be the games that most people are clicking on, talking about, posting about, and stuff like that. So we have 10 games to talk about. Let's get into that hotness.
Number 10 is going to be Trickerion Legends of Illusion. This is actually, there's a new campaign for Trickerion out with a new expansion called Arcane Arts?
The Arcane Arts expansion.
And it's actually 10 years old. That's what kind of the main thing for this kind of new campaign is that this is like they're launching their kind of 10th anniversary edition, which is wild that Trickerion is 10 years old.
We've been in this hobby for a while, so certain games that we heard about really early on, and Trickerion was like this. It was way beyond our ability of anything to play. It was way too heavy at the time, but it's this kind of juggernaut. It's really stuck around. They have a collector's edition that came out, I think, a couple years ago. So now, with this new expansion, you can get that collector's edition again to kind of celebrate 10 years. The Arcane Arts expansion, there's an in focus right here on Board Game Geek for it. Basically starts to provide like real life magic. And there's this arcanist traveling
you're magicians
around.
in the game. You're
You're illusionists, right? But now you're maybe infusing a little bit of real magic into your illusions and things. But with the same great kind of focus as always on putting on great performances. You know, preparing and performing tricks and stuff.
Number 9 is going to be Galactic Cruise. It's been around for a couple months because this is now fully hitting people's hands. Galactic Cruise is a game by Kinson Key Games, but it's very Vital Lacerda inspired, very openly so. And it's this really interesting game where you are essentially putting on Fifth Element tile galactic cruises, basically. Where you are putting on cruises, but you're in the future, so you're going to various planets and stuff like that. So the game is you're like the CEO of one of these companies putting on these galactic cruises, and so you're doing kind of like worker placement around the board. When you put a worker out, you're going to do a couple different actions depending on where it is, and you're basically getting ships that you can then launch. You're then filling those ships with various like cool activities to do on the ship. You are then attracting the various customers, which are 3 different kinds of customers, and then getting them on your ship and then launching them. And then for the next couple rounds, next couple turns, they'll essentially be traveling to kind of predestined destinations. And of course, there's certain destinations that certain kind of guests will like over other ones, stuff like that. And you're basically trying to maximize it's just kind of one of those big efficiency puzzles. And it's just really, really fun with a really cool theme.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff going on with this one, but it's just got a really fun kind of tone. because like obviously the idea of doing big space cruises is a little bit silly and far out there. So they have things like a zero-G circus and stuff like that, or paintball in space. So they have fun with it with that great tool art and kind of graphic design to boot. And we just got a copy as well. And I think people are finally getting a chance to play their finished copies, and that's why it's in the hotness.
Number 8 is going to be Vantage. There's been a lot of buzz around this game. Vantage is going to be, it's another Stonemaier game, and it's a Jamey Stegmaier design, which again doesn't happen too much anymore.
Yeah, we had that in a while.
And so this is an interesting game where it's a co-op game where you're kind of like crash landed on like an alien planet, and everyone is on a different part of the planet, and you are only seeing things from your vantage point, which is called Vantage. So basically, wherever you land, you have these cards, you have various things that you can see, but you can only see what's directly around you. You can't, there's no like bird's eye view, right? Where you're like seeing the whole planet. It's like you're just seeing where you are, and you can only talk about what you see, which is where you are. And so you're basically trying to, as far as I know, kind of trying to find each other and stuff like that, and trying to do some different things, but you're all doing this from your vantage point in terms of what you are seeing, which is a very interesting concept.
Yeah, I really like the idea of like, I'm in this part of the world, so I have certain resources that I have access to that maybe you don't. Something like that put into a board game, I think it's gonna be really interesting to see kind of how that plays out, like mechanically, like
and it's not a legacy game either. It's like it's not a legacy game, because that sounds like it'd be a legacy game, right? But it's like it's not, right?
I think sort of it's just like each game, the setup's gonna be different, and where you are and what things are
seems fascinating
are out. Yeah, so it's gonna be really cool. And Stonemaier always makes a splash when they announce games, so there's still not a ton of information, and yet it is in the hotness.
Yes, indeed.
Next up is going to be SETI. This is from CGE.
It's probably around because an expansion literally, I think today, as opposed to filming this,
just
got announced.
As recording this, there is an expansion.
Your boy's here.
Oh, we're way up here.
Excited for it. We love SETI if you didn't know.
This is our personal favorite game from last year, so we are personally fans, as are many other people. In fact, as we were looking around BoardGameGeek this week, we found out that it's already at number 70 overall on the entire listings of BoardGameGeek, which is a meteoric rise.
Yeah, that is very fast. But this is a game where you are searching for extraterrestrial intelligence, which is what SETI means, and you will find it in this game, which is very cool. There are going to be 2 of 5, with the expansion now 8, aliens that you will just find. You'll find various life forms, and once you find one of each kind of evidence of life, you will then discover them. And and then they all have different scoring things. They're not super like, they're not massively game change, but it'll change the game a little bit.
Gives you new opportunities, I guess.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Like, now I can do this to score points.
But you never know what they're going to be because no one's allowed to look at them. You just have them down there. And so again, there's only 5 options, but it's like, it's always interesting. Like, I wonder which ones are going to be in this game. And that's why I'm like, just give me more aliens. More than anything else, give me more aliens.
Yeah.
But you're doing various different things to try and find this evidence. You can like orbit planets or land on the various planets in our solar system because it just takes place where we are. All sorts of different stuff. You're getting like publicity and stuff, and you're getting technologies. It's just really fun. We've always really enjoyed it. It's been sitting around the hotness. Again, it's already 70 on the BGG Top 100, so people are playing it. People are talking about it. It'll probably continue to be on the hotness, especially if that expansion.
I can only imagine with the announcement of the expansion, it's going to be
only imagine it's going to make a splash. And so, nonetheless, SETI is our favorite game of last year. There's no hiding that we really like it. And so, it's number 7.
Our next up is going to be a Reiner Knizia re-implementation.
Yes, as he's wont to do.
Yeah, as you want to do. This is from Bitewing Games, a game called Gazebo.
It is called Gazebo, and then it's like a
Gingham.
Gingham, yeah, exactly. So this is Gazebo, though. This is a re-implementation of Chin, which is an old R&R game from, I'm not sure how long ago, but a while ago now. Yeah. So this is a re-implementation of that, but it's a very simple game that does seem really fun, where it's a domino line game, where you're gonna have these, and the new version is very pretty.
It's like this like kind of cloth
board. You have like these, I think they're acrylic dominoes, and they're basically
gonna have like, really nice.
They're gonna have like 3 different colors, possibilities on either side. So it's like blue, pink, and like green or something like that. So basically on your turn, you're gonna put down a domino tile, and then if you make, I think it's called a nook is what they said. I watched a little over video on it. It's basically whenever you match colors, kind of domino style, you get to put out one of your gazebos. And you're basically just trying to get rid of your gazebos. So it's like kind of classic Knizia, where it's like dead simple in terms of what you're doing.
Sure.
But you're trying to like not set up other people, because again, you always putting out a thing, and if you're making a nook, so you're trying to like, as much as you can, trying to make it so you can put out your stuff, but other people can't.
Trying
And
to
it's
play
going to be very tactical and stuff.
Yeah, offensively and defensively at the same time, right? Yeah.
So again, Chin has been around for a while. It's a very well-regarded game. Reiner Knizia makes outstanding games. Bitewing game, I think at this point, has made a couple Reiner Knizia games, kind of reprints and stuff like that. So this one looks really, really cool. It's really, really pretty, as you can expect from Bitewing games and just games in general nowadays. But yeah, I'm excited to check out Gazebo. It seems real cool, real pretty.
Next up is going to be Spirit Island.
Yes.
This is a game that is always in the
it's
greater
usually the top,
hotness.
like, probably 15 to 20 of the hotness. It doesn't very often make the hotness, but it's always up here. Because people are always infinitely interested in this game.
Yeah, it is just perpetually awesome. There's been so much content for it.
Yes.
There's also been news about Greater Than Games having to be shut down due to tariffs
At least
and stuff.
to some degree.
I imagine Spirit Island will still exist,
hopefully,
but I think it's kind of given people a reminder to like, oh, let's go appreciate this game and go play it. And stuff like that. You actually
I played Horizons of Spirit Island this last weekend,
right? Which is
kind
fully
of like
compatible with
slightly, it's completely compatible. It's a slightly easier, more intro version of Spirit Island. And when I was playing it, I was just like, oh yeah, that's right. Spirit Island is
so good.
One of the greatest games ever made.
Yeah, it's a cooperative game where you are spirits who are kind of protecting the native inhabitants of this island from these invaders that are sort of coming in sort of a procedural way.
Yeah.
And they're trying to come in and build up cities and stuff, and you are trying to basically get rid of these bad guys and then stoke fear and stuff so they kind of run off.
Yeah, so they don't come back, right?
And
it's
protect
cool.
the local people.
It's cool to see the kind of other side of that coin. I feel like a lot of times in games, you're the ones coming into lands.
You're the conqueror.
And it's cool to see that. I love games where you're seeing the other side of the coin. And this is very cool. And it's like, it's like you're playing these various spirits. They're all very asymmetric. They have different starting decks. They have different things that they do. And you really do have to like play them and learn them. It's an outstanding game. I do hope it sticks around. I was sad to hear about the kind of scaling back of Greater Than Games. But nonetheless, Spirit Island, if you haven't played it, it's one of the greatest games ever made. It really is.
Absolutely.
It's, I think, number 10 on the overall list on BGG. It's there for a reason. It's really, really great. But yeah, check out Spirit Island if you haven't. It's outstanding.
This war of mine. I don't know. This war of mine.
The board game, yes.
The board game is in the hotness. There's a second edition.
Yeah, it's on GameFound right now, a second edition. So this is based on, it's called This War of Mine, the board game, because if you don't know, this is a video game called This War of Mine, where you're kind of in like a war-torn city, but you're like the people in this city. You're not like, you're not the people fighting, really.
Sort of like post-apocalyptic-y.
Yeah, and you're kind of like in a besieged city and you're kind of trying to survive and stuff like that. So there is a board game that came out in 2000, what was it originally? 2017. So they're doing a second edition now, which is on GameFound. It's by Awaken Realms. It looks like there's obviously some cosmetic upgrades. Awaken Realms is known for making big, crazy minis, so there's a lot of that kind of stuff. But it looks like there's some like narrative tweaks and like script tweakings, and then maybe some gameplay tweakings as well. But nonetheless, there's a second edition of this game. The first one did I believe did very well.
And people, when it came out, for sure,
really liked it. And so a second edition of a popular game is always going to do well, and so people are out there talking about it.
Next up is going to be a fishing game called Deep Regrets, where you are going out fishing and catching kind of progressively weirder and weirder things from the ocean. This game seems to be inspired by a video game called Dredge, where you are kind of going out and finding normal stuff and getting fish and eating it or selling it and stuff, and then maybe finding things that are a little bit odd and having to figure that out. So in this game, you're going to be rolling these dice and using them dice to fish. You'll have these kind of 9 areas at 3 different depths where you can fish. You can kind of see the shadows of like what you expect to find, but you don't know exactly.
Yeah.
So you're, playing with fire a little bit of like, do I think I can afford to pick up this fish?
Right.
The fish that I get, do I keep them? Do I sell them for some quick money? Do I mount them? You're making all these kind of decisions, but again, the progression of like, you'll be collecting these regrets and sort of spiraling toward madness, but you kind of get a little bit stronger when you do.
Yeah.
So it seems like a really fun game that will kind of push you to like, how far can I go before I'm like in real trouble and like find these weird things. I think the designer and the artist are the same person, and the art's just really kind of cool, and the art style is kind of this green hued everything. I think it looks awesome.
Yeah,
like,
it looks really cool.
Really like the looks. Personally was just when I first saw the cover, I was like, yo, what is that? Like, I like the look of that a lot. So I really want to try this myself.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, I think it's gonna be an interesting game with kind of like a cool style to it.
Yeah. I saw, you know, when you have a little picture preview on BGG, and I immediately went like, that's Tool art. I bet this is the next Vita Lacerda game. And it is. That is the Great Library.
Great Library, yes.
Which is, yes, it's about the Great Library of Alexandria. And so it's the next big Vita Lacerda game. There'll be a campaign for it sometime this year. I think they said quarter 3 or 4, something like that. And it's got Tool art because that's the duo, that has been the duo for quite a while now.
Pretty powerful duo.
So yeah, in this one you are helping run the library, and I think you're there's not tons and tons of information out there about it, but you're basically trying to run the library. You're trying to, I think,
acquire books and
acquire
knowledge
stuff,
and
I think you're trying to like navigate some of the patrons and stuff like that. You're basically, I think, trying to influence the direction of the Great Library, and that can be difficult because there's so much stuff to learn. There's so much stuff to do, all this different kind of stuff. It looks cool. I've seen there's a couple pictures of the board where I think Vital was playtesting and stuff. It looks great. Here's the thing: we like Vita Lacerda games a lot. As do many people on BoardGameGeek. I really like the themes that they tend to choose. And this one, like, it's about the Great Library. That's cool.
It's a cool thing in history,
cool.
right?
Yeah, so very, very, very excited. We really liked the last one, Speakeasy. And so, it's going to be popular because it's got Tool art and it's Vita Lacerda. So people are going to be talking about it.
Next up is going to be Star Wars Battle of Hoth. This is
Didn't see this one coming.
Huh?
Didn't see this one coming.
No, but I'm kind of stoked for it. This is kind of a reworking of Memoir 44, which of course is the
commands and colors system.
The system goes way back. So really kind of a classic thing now put into the Star Wars universe. And that battle on Hoth is really cool because you have kind of
my favorite.
The airships, you have the AT-ATs, you have the kind of ground troops. Like, it's a really kind of climactic, awesome battle, and it's kind of perfect setting for a war game with this kind of dice rolling system and activating troops and stuff and attacking. I've only played Memoir 44 a couple times, but I have enjoyed it and understand like why this system has persisted and been around for so long. And now you're putting it into an IP I really enjoy from the best, arguably the best Star Wars movie ever made.
Right.
Like, I'm all in. I think I'm super excited to try it.
Yeah, I think people are going to be mega hyped, to say the least. I think,
as it should be, I think.
Again, it's Memoir 44 is such a classic, has been a classic for a long time.
Yeah, it's Days of Wonder
tends to do very, very good games. And so kind of re-implementing that to some degree with the Star Wars IP is hopefully going to be very, very good. Yeah, very, very excited.
I can't wait to find out.
I was just like, that's
smart.
That sounds cool.
That's a smart
That
choice.
sounds cool. That's a smart choice by them.
More to choice there.
So that is the hottest games of the month. Let us know down in the comments below what you're looking forward to. So at the very end of the hotness part, we always talk about the most played games of the month. So you can always log your plays on BGG. If you play on like BGA, you can a lot of times transfer those plays over to
automatically
with things like BG stats and all these different kinds of things. So make sure to log your plays because it will affect this list. And I will say right now, I think this is as long as we've been doing the hotness videos, which now at this point has been a couple years.
Yeah.
I think this is the first time that Marvel Champions is not in the top 10.
Wow.
Which is insane. Usually for like years, it was like in the top 3 always. So I'm sure it'll be back next month, but I noticed I was like, oh my gosh, Marvel Champions isn't here. But nonetheless, we're gonna go ahead and talk about the top most played games. So number 10 rather is gonna be Trio, which has 7,208.
Wow.
We have Azul, which has 7,491. We have Sea Salt and Paper, 7,552. Far Away, which has 8,165. Forest Shuffle, which has 8,492. Sky Team with 9,568. Arc Nova, which has 10,040. And then, so all of those are pretty much always in the top 10.
Those are, I was gonna say, that's chalk so far. Like,
but
those
number
are
1 and number 2 are pretty new-ish. So number 2 is Flip 7, which has 10,710. Now the ops sent a bunch of basically free copies to tons of people, and it's a very quick game.
And it's also on Board Game Arena now.
And it's also on Board Game Arena, so I think a lot of people playing Flip 7.
It's a great game, so
I really like it a lot. But yeah, they were doing a big push for it, and it looks like, at least according to this, worked out to some degree.
It's awesome, yeah.
And the number 1 is the Fellowship of the Ring, the trick-taking game.
Wow,
which has 11,018. I think that was on the list last month.
Yeah, that's always a
trick. But that one has been very, very popular. We like that game quite a bit. So, and are planning on playing through it, all the way through it very, very soon here. So that is the most played games of the month. Again, make sure to log your plays so you can affect this list. And yeah, let's go ahead and let's talk about some Murph Picks real quick. Y'all know I love some cool DIY board game stuff, and Shane Harris made Galactus. This is a Galactus Kallax, basically. So Shane basically was like, I ran out of room on my Kallaxes. I need to fit more in a smaller area. And so what they did is put down like kind of like T-track, like gate track, something that a wheel will roll into, and they put Kallaxes on top of that so they could roll them together. Because one of the things that like with a shelf like that, if you have them all stacked face to face, like face to face, you can actually fit a lot more in there, but then you can't really access any of the games in the middle. So now they have it on a track system so they can move one out of the way and just kind of roll it down and access those games and these games, and you can kind of just keep moving them. And especially if it's on a wheel system where it's not very hard to move, that would actually be a really, really great space-saving option. It's a little tough to do because you have to be able to put down that track or put down wheels or something like that. It's really cool. We've actually, one of our friends has a much bigger, much more expensive version of this, and it is very cool and very useful to kind of be able to just move these big shelves around to access whatever, and it actually saves space pretty well as well. So Shane Harris made this very cool thing. They called it Galactus, and I think that's absolutely incredible.
All right, my Murph pick is the Geek Madness tournament that is currently happening. It's been going on for a little while now, where a bunch of games get nominated. These are going to be things based on the overall ranking of games on BoardGameGeek, and then we have a big tournament where people can vote on basically which game beats which if it's in a heads-up matchup. So just for an example here, some things that were in the very first round were like Ark Nova versus Scout. Do you prefer Ark Nova over Scout? And whatever one gets more votes between those games moves forward until we eventually have the Geek Madness tournament champion winner, all-time best game, at least at the moment. So we have the Elite 8 right now. We have 8 teams left, games left, I should say, and it's up to you to go vote. So go participate in the Geek Madness. Right now, in the Elite 8, we have Twilight Imperium versus Pandemic, Spirit Island versus Brass. We have Ark Nova versus Castles of Burgundy, Dune Imperium versus Root. Heavy hitters all, so go and vote on those, which one you want to see make the final 4, and then eventually the championship, the 1v1, to determine once and for all, at least for this moment, which game is best.
So those were a couple of different Murph Picks, some fun stuff in there. At the very end of the video, we always talk about our personal favorite game or gaming experience of the month. Mikey, why don't you take us away?
A game that recently hit Board Game Arena in alpha, it's not out widely yet, is Apiaries. It's a Stonemaier game from a couple years ago, where you're space bees and kind of building out your colony out there in the cosmos. And this is a game we played once, kind of near when it came out at BGG Con.
Yeah, we did.
And I've been really wanting to play it ever since.
Yeah.
We don't have it or anything like that, and so I've been really jonesing to play because I really enjoyed my first play of it. So I finally am in a couple games of it now.
Yeah.
Kind of rediscovering it and stuff, and it's been highly enjoyable. So it's really kind of fun after, now almost, a year and a half or so.
Yeah.
Finally getting to play it again, and I'm enjoying myself once again. So Apiary is my pick.
That's awesome. My pick is gonna be Let's Go to Japan. I got to introduce one of our good friends, Jamey, to this game, and every single time I play this game, I'm always just like, man, this is just a really enjoyable game.
Very much so.
Yeah, it's just fun. And this is a game where you're planning out a trip to Japan, and you're planning out all these different activities that you're gonna do, and it's kind of an interesting game because the whole first half of the game is you planning and putting out these cards,
right,
but you don't activate really anything until you actually go on your trip, and then you basically try to figure out how well you did planning, like how cohesive it is, how fun it is, that kind of stuff. It's really, really cool, and our friend Jimmy really liked it as well. I don't know, it's one of those games where I can't really pinpoint why it's as good as it is, but it just really, really is. I really like Let's Go to Japan. I think it's an absolute blast, and I can't wait to play it again.
Boom, there you go. Those are some games that we really enjoyed playing this month. In the comments, tell us what games have you been checking out on BoardGameGeek? What are the games you've been playing? Make sure you log those plays and stuff so they can be incorporated into the stats for the month and everything like that. And we hope you all have a fantastic month. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.